Hi everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting, long-range strategic plan. My name is Doug Hipsch. I'm the county board chair, and I'm from Perham, Minnesota. Along with me tonight from the county, we have Lee Rognes back there from Fergus Falls, and Wayne Johnson, your commissioner here from Pelican Rapids. We have Rick West and Nicole Hansen, Amy Baldwin in the back, Scott over there on the cameraman, and with us we have our consultants, Craig and Steph, and they're going to help go through some slides and try to help figure out what our long-term plan is. It's really important for the county to have a plan so we know where we're going, and so we started off, this is our second round of meetings, and we want your input because it's your plan, and we can't have a good plan without having all of you involved. So thanks for coming, and now I'll turn it over to Steph.
Thank you, Doug. We are recording tonight's presentation just so we can post it for those that can't make the meeting, so just wanted to let you all know that. So if we could keep questions to the end of the presentation, that way we can keep the presentation piece, but we will open for questions at the end. So Doug did a very good job of introducing the long-range strategic plan and why we're here tonight. Our general agenda for this presentation is to just give an overview of the long-range strategic plan. There are some faces in the room that we've seen before and maybe some new faces, so give you a little opportunity to catch you up to speed on what we're doing here with the long-range strategic plan, talk about what our process is, the steps that we've identified to create the plan. Then we're going to spend some time going into the draft goals. This is what we've spent a lot of time working on recently and taking the input that we received from our first round of meetings and our survey back at the beginning part of the year and turning that into goals, or where do we want to be moving for the future of Otter Tail County. So going over those. And then I'll give you a quick overview of the different activities we have throughout the room if you didn't participate in those yet, and let you know kind of what we're looking at there. And then getting into our next steps. There were some materials out at the sign-in table. It looks like most of you grabbed them, but that one pager is just an overview of the long-range strategic plan, so that'll be a good thing to follow through as I go through the first part of this presentation. For those of you that have been at a meeting before, you've probably seen that. And then the big packet is our draft goals, and I'll get into a little bit more detail of how those were developed and what they mean later in the presentation, but those are also available on the long-range strategic plan website, on the county's website, if you want to go and look further at those. And that's where you can find more information about the long-range strategic plan as well. So how did we even get here? Why are we developing a long-range strategic plan? So the county set out to create a strategic plan for Otter Tail County, or really defining how we were going to operate Otter Tail County for the future within Otter Tail County as a business and within the government service center. So they outlined some different goals that they wanted to be working towards. But the county board started to ask themselves, really what's guiding our decisions? What do our citizens want to see, our residents want to see for the future of Otter Tail County? And that led us down the path of creating the first ever long-range strategic plan for Otter Tail County. Why do we plan? Why do we even have documents in place that we can reference? They do a few different things. First of all, they're intended for elected officials, staff, and residents. So not only is it something that staff and our county board can look at as they're making decisions, but it's also available for new and existing residents to figure out where we want to be going as a community as Otter Tail County. It is a guiding document, so it should be referenced as we're making decisions, and it sets that future vision and goals and objectives that we want to be working towards. So we're using your feedback to say, what is our vision for Otter Tail County for the next 20 years, and what are the goals that we want to set to be able to reach that vision? It can serve as a plan for future growth and influence land use regulations. So we'll go over this a little later as well, but the county does have some existing land use regulations that we look at how to manage growth and make sure that we're protecting both our natural resources and your investments in your personal property. So it can be used to guide those decisions. But it can also identify and protect and enhance county amenities, the things that we've already put investments into, whether that's our transportation system or our parks system, and how we're going to manage those amenities into the future. But most importantly, it's the citizens or residents plan, and it's built from community engagement. Everything that you provide us or that's provided to us throughout all of our different engagement activities, will inform our plan. So the first round, when we met with all of you back in February and March or through the survey, we were gaining information about your likes, dislikes, issues and opportunities that you see in Otter Tail County. What do we need to work on? And we took that feedback and turned that into the goals that we're presenting to you tonight. So it's really important that we get feedback throughout this process so it can be your vision that we can work together to achieve. And it is also a living document. So we won't finish it and it won't be written in stone and sit on a shelf and collect dust. It can be reviewed and changed on a regular basis to make sure that we're responding to different changes as they occur. And when we put that all together, the plan does a lot of things and provides a very useful tool for us moving forward. But specifically the long-range strategic plan, we set out a goal of creating a plan that's aimed at capturing residents' desires for the future. And we have 3 primary goals with this effort. Engage with residents and stakeholders. Again, this is your plan. We want to review existing county systems, so understanding what's going on in Otter Tail County today, what are those opportunities that we can enhance, and what are the issues that we need to change, and then develop a vision and goals for the future. What are we going to work towards? So when we started out this process over a year ago, we don't have an existing long-range strategic plan. We're not going in and updating different things. We had to figure out what we even wanted to talk about in the plan itself. So working with the board and county staff and some focus groups back in October of last year, we talked about what we even want to include in this planning effort. And we landed on 6 different plan elements or topic areas. The first of which we've titled Resilience. And resilience will kind of be an umbrella that will encapsulate everything that we're talking about within the long-range strategic plan. And this is really our ability to adapt and react to change. How are we prepared for different changes that we're going to experience as a county? Making sure that we're maintaining that safe and healthy community that we all like to live in. And then we have 2 detailed plan elements. We'll be spending a lot of time looking at these 2 elements and providing guidance for the future. One of which is economy. And this is a bucket for a lot of different things. It's the housing, where we live. It's our jobs, where we earn our money. And it's the places that we go and spend our money on either goods or services. But it gets into things as well as education, providing educational opportunities from pre-K all the way through different community ed activities. And then also looking at land use, so how we are using our land throughout Otter Tail County. And the engagement exercises that we have tonight focus on those first 3 plan elements. We've also included public infrastructure, which is a lot of our built environment that we manage within the county. So whether that's our transportation system or technology and utilities, broadband is one thing that fits within this bucket. Public infrastructure, we do have a transportation plan that's on its 2nd iteration. We developed it 5 years ago. It's now recently been updated. So that's a plan that exists. It's already being used and we can reference within the long-range strategic plan. We also want to talk about parks and trails. Pretty self-explanatory what that element covers, but we also have a trail master plan that we can use and reference within the long-range strategic plan. And then natural resources. Natural resources include everything from our lakes and wetlands to agricultural lands and trees and wooded areas. These are a big piece of the character or identity of Otter Tail County, so wanting to make sure that we're recognizing and focusing on that component. So our planning process overall folds into 4 different steps. We started with data collection, so gathering as much information as possible, looking at demographics and physical information, but also collecting information from all of you. What do we need to be working towards? Then we moved into goal and policy development. So we heard the things that we needed to work on, and we developed the goals, which we'll get into next. Those will stay in a draft stage for quite a while, so we're looking for your input on how we might make those better. And next we'll move into planning analysis. So now that we've set kind of where we want to be, what we want to be working towards, what details do we need to look into and providing some guidance for the future? And then we'll pull that into the full long-range strategic plan. So getting into our goals, again, we took all of the feedback that we heard from the early part of this year and tried to figure out what this meant. What were themes that popped out? What are the things that, were there some consensus that people want us to work towards? So we created those into themes, or our topic or focus areas defined through the process. We then used those to set goals, or that vision statement of what we want to be working towards, and then defined objectives or action statements that we can take little steps to help us achieve those goals. So we first started as SRF working to figure out what we think these things could be, and then we worked with the county staff and our plan review committee to refine what you have in front of you today. Again, we're still collecting input. We want to make sure that we heard you correctly and we've included the things that need to. So please provide us feedback. We're hoping that we can have feedback to us by December 6th. Is really what we're looking for in terms of a timeline there. There is a comment form out at the front with our contact information if you want to provide feedback that way. So for those of you that have a copy of those draft goals in front of you, I think there's 12 pages or so of information. I'm not going to go through everything, or we would be here all night. So I want to just talk through our themes and kind of identify what the general goal intent is for each of the plan elements, and then we'll be around here afterwards if you want to chat through anything in more detail. But we'll start with resilience, or our overall plan element. Again, this is our ability to adapt and react and maintain what we have here in Otter Tail County. And that word maintain shows up as our first theme. So we recognize that there are lots of great things going on in Otter Tail County. So we don't want to lose sight of what great things we have today. So we want to keep those going and make them even better. We want to be resilient. We want to make sure that we can be quick on our feet and adapt to changes as they come at us. We want to think about the future. We're not planning for us today, we're planning for Otter Tail County in 20 years. We're planning for our children or our grandchildren and keeping them in mind and what Otter Tail County will be for them. Thinking about diversity, being a welcoming community that embraces our diversity. Diversity from our people to our environment, all kinds of different diversity. Thinking about our social environment, making sure that we're safe and welcoming, that this is a place that people want to come and be, whether that's as residents or tourists or visitors. Considering our natural environment. Again, this is a big component of our identity as Otter Tail County, so wanting to preserve that. And then also recognizing a healthy lifestyle, having access to a healthy lifestyle, whatever that means for all of us. Then getting into economy, which is again our bucket for a lot of different things. But we wanted to focus on housing options and making sure that there are options for people that want to come either stay in Otter Tail County or come live in Otter Tail County. And affordable housing that goes along with that. We can have all the options in the world, but if nobody can afford them, we haven't really done our job there. We want to look at jobs that provide a living wage. So it's great to have jobs, but to make sure that they pay enough that I can afford to live and enjoy the things that Otter Tail County has to offer. We also looked at economic diversity. There are a lot of different industries, agriculture, industry, all these different things happening in Otter Tail County, and making sure we're being diverse and looking at different options throughout the county. We recognize that tourism economy. It's a much different county here in the summer when everybody's coming for the weekend to be on the lake. So recognizing that economy that gets brought into Otter Tail County and supporting that. Looking at education, not only from our school-aged children and making sure that they're getting a quality education, but all educational opportunities for all and being a life-ready population, continuing the ability to make us each better. Looking at childcare, access to affordable childcare for our residents. Collaboration is a theme that I think pops up in every single plan element that'll follow, but working together. We can't do this in an Otter Tail County bubble. We need to work with different jurisdictions and agencies to help us achieve our vision. And then recognizing our agricultural economy. Obviously, agriculture is big here in Otter Tail County, so recognizing that and working on a future for agriculture. Then we get into land use. We start off right away with growth management, which is really almost the definition of land use. And making sure that we're effectively planning and managing growth to some extent. We don't know what that extent is at this point. But we want to look at agricultural preservation. Again, that's a key component of us here in Otter Tail County, so preserving that. preserving our natural resources, again, that part of our identity. Looking at our character. We're a big county. There's lots of different pieces that contribute to the character of what Otter Tail County is, but wanting to maintain what we have today. Collaboration again. This is a big one about working with our local jurisdictions, so our cities and our townships to work together in growth management. Enforcement. It's great to have rules, but if we're not following them and working on them, we're kind of not following through. And then protection. The true definition of land use is looking at the potential impacts to the health, safety, and welfare of all of our residents of Otter Tail County. Then we get into public infrastructure, or our built environment components. We recognize technology and the need to stay on the cutting edge of what technology offerings there are and how that impacts your ability to watch Netflix at home or your ability to work at home should you want to. Solid waste and recycling, recognizing that, what are we going to do with this waste? And there's some additional efforts that the county is starting related to solid waste management that'll get folded in. Then we get into transportation, making sure that we have a safe system so that you can go out and safely get to your destination, but that you also have access to transportation, whether that's your personal vehicle or being able to walk to your destination. We want to tie this into economic development, so making sure that we have a system that can move the goods and services we need throughout Otter Tail County to maintain a good economy. Providing quality services, so having good things. If we're going to create things and build things for you, we want to make sure that they're quality and will withstand, but we also want to do budgeting and make sure we're doing that in a fiscally responsible manner and spending those tax dollars appropriately. Also looking at multimodal transportation, recognizing that there are lots of different ways that people want to move throughout the county and to other locations. And then collaboration again, working with others to help us achieve our vision. Then we get into natural resources. So we want to do a lot of things about preserving and enhancing what we have today. So we start with preservation, keeping the great things that we have going on, but realizing that some things can be better, so enhancing them to improve those resources. We also heard a lot about access, and that I want to go experience a lake, or I want to go out in a wildlife management area, and that we provide access to those pieces. Collaboration, again, working with others, the DNR, different wildlife management agencies and things of that nature. And then also looking at the effects. A lot of the things that I've already talked about, if we go forward and do a lot of things, there's the potential that we can impact things. So we want to make sure that we can do the things that we want to do, but we're not impacting what was here already. And then finally, parks and trails. We looked into a few different things, and these tie into the goals of our trail master plan as well. But we want to look at expansion, expanding and maintaining our existing parks and trails, looking at multi-use. We don't have to just be able to do one thing. Can we do a summer and a winter activity, or have activities for different age groups and things? Budgeting again, spending our money wisely, being fiscally responsible. Multimodal, having different, being able to get to these locations or have different multimodal options within them. Providing access to all, and providing a connected system. Being able to get to different locations. You're not going to get on one thing and get on a dead end. And then finally, active living, or that healthy lifestyle component, providing a range of recreational opportunities that can get people out and moving around. So before I jump into the next piece, again, we're starting from ground zero. We don't have goals of this nature that we're working from or updating. So this was us listening to that first round of engagement and building something off of that. So I'm sure we didn't get it all right. So your feedback will help us make this even better for the future of Otter Tail County. So to move into our activities tonight, based on the goals that we have and the feedback that we received, we've laid out a few activities that we want your feedback on. To start with resilience, We've got an activity in the back with the puzzle pieces, just kind of a fun activity to let us know what you like. What's your favorite thing about Otter Tail County? Writing that down on a puzzle piece, and we can create a little installation at the end of these meetings to kind of showcase everything we heard. And then we also have a board in the back corner over here that identifies different components of Otter Tail County and whether you want to maintain, enhance, or change components of those areas. You can use different dots to identify those things. For land use, we've got a couple of different activities. Up here, we've got some maps of Otter Tail County today, provide you an opportunity to let us know what should be preserved, if there's areas that should be changed, things like that. And then in the back corner, we've identified different land use tools. So we heard some positive feedback about thinking about different management of land use throughout Otter Tail County. That might be what we're using today in terms of our shoreland and floodplain, or there are some additional tools that we could deploy. So there's a description of all of those, and you can drop a bean into the jars if you think that that would be a good idea for Otter Tail County. And then finally, economy is up here in the corner behind me. We heard a lot about different barriers to either getting the job you want or the house that you want to live in Otter Tail County. So I've identified a few different barriers, whether that's I couldn't find it in my location, or I couldn't find the job that paid what I think I need to be paid. So if you've experienced any of these barriers, you can throw a dot on there and let us know. And so to wrap us up, we're right in the middle of the planning process. We've still got a little ways to go. Again, we started in the summertime of 2018, and we're thinking we'll probably be wrapped up in the summertime of 2020. So we're kind of right at the peak, at the exciting part. Now we're going to work through and make sure these goals and policies are kind of where we want them to be, and then get into the nitty-gritty planning, the nerdy detail planning detail there before we pull a plan together. So the next time that we're probably getting together in this format, we'll have a draft plan that will be available. We'll chat through what's in that, and you can let us know, make sure that we hit everything that we needed to. So again, we're going to confirm those goals and policies with your feedback, get into the plan analysis, and then draft the plan. And with that, that's all of my presentation. I thank you for the time, and we'll open up any questions if anyone has any.
Just a couple comments I'd like to make is that from a timeline standpoint, I think we'd like to have this plan wrapped up and before the board near the end of August of 2020. And I think that's doable. We've done a lot of work to date, and there's certainly more work to do. The other thing I would say about the plan as it exists today, this is draft, and it will remain draft for some time yet. So comments are hugely important to us. What Steph has said it many times, I just wanted to say it again, that we value the comments that we are going to receive and have received. The other item is that if you add up the number of themes that we have listed under the 6 elements, there are 45 different themes. We probably cannot tackle all 45 themes at one time. So part of this process, I think, at some point, maybe into early summer, we, meaning all of us, are going to have to sit down and figure out how we're going to set priorities under the 6 elements of how we're going to move forward with the plan once it's adopted. I think that's going to be another important part, because, again, I just added up those numbers, and it's, you know, that's a huge undertaking. Some of it's county has a big part to play. Some of it I think will be public-private partnerships. Some of it may lie strictly in the private sector. That's yet to be worked out. But there's a lot of work to be done yet, and I just wanted to, again, on behalf of all of us working on the plan, the county board members, the staff, SRF, we thank you for coming out tonight, and your input is valued, and there are several members of the plan review committee that are here tonight, and they've got some work to do yet, so appreciate it.